Network.
I got it.
YouTube would be American News Media Center.
Got it.
Okay, 4 words.
Mm-hmm.
American News Media Center. We're still going to go out to News Now San Diego.
How about summary judgment? No.
Well,
you know what? We could post things there still.
we could take a copy of what we do and put it up onto
Right.
summary judgment.
Right.
But and if you're watching us on summary judgment, I have always appreciated the people who watch us,
Of course.
the people who communicate with us, and sometimes people communicate with us in a grocery line. So I would like anyone who's watching us to, like I said, go to Facebook, search for and go to AM News Network, and follow.
Well, it looks like an interesting call.
Summary judgment. Hello. Let me make sure I got. Let me see, make sure I got volume here.
To accept, press 1.
Oh.
To send a voicemail, press 2.
Okay, you're accepted. Hello.
I'm accepted.
You're accepted. Who's this?
Okay. Well, my name's Stacy. I'm with True Blue Bluegrass News in Central Kentucky.
Yeah.
Trying to watch the show, but I can't hear nothing.
Oh no! Thank you so much
Is our
for telling
volume up?
us.
Is our-
Thank you for
Is our
telling
volume
us.
going out?
I fixed it. So.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I've got volume up, and in the chat there was a lot of people complaining they couldn't hear it, so I didn't know if it was on
No.
News Now Houston side where he's mirroring it or what.
No. Let me explain, and I'm glad you called.
Thank you so much.
We have totally rearranged in here over the last week. We were pretty regular going out up until June or July of last year. I had a heart transplant, and
Yep.
it took me quite a while to get my sea legs back again. So we have now moved and downsized our studio, and we're like Joe Biden. We're doing, I guess it's called the basement news service now, but I'm very good friends with Dave. And then there's J.C. Playford on News Now San Diego. And
Can we ask him to test whatever you're watching right now and see if you can hear us now?
do me a favor. See if you have audio. Are you watching us on News Now Houston?
Yeah, I was watching through his mirror. He's about the only auditor I watch. Handful of others, but Dave's my number one. It actually paused yours when I called you.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have Facebook?
Yeah, I do on my tablet. Hold on.
Okay, no, but you hear me out. You are News Blue Kentucky?
True Blue Kentucky.
True Blue Kentucky?
True
What?
Blue Bluegrass News.
True Blue Bluegrass News.
Yep, I don't have any videos up yet. I've had it for a little while. I'm working on getting some auditing done in my area.
Well, why don't you do this? When you get your audits, okay, we'll figure out a way that we may be able to take them and post them on our sites, which will give you more exposure. I mean, I'm absolutely amazed at Dave Warden, because I remember when Dave first called me, and we were talking to each other. He was kind of picking my mind, and I was picking his mind, and I heard all of the bullshit about him, and I said, that's in the past. I think he does a fantastic job of doing what he does.
I think all auditors should take a good lesson from News Now Houston. He's just level-headed. He's, I guess you could call him equal opportunity. He's good cop, bad cop. I mean, he puts out both and not just all the negative.
Let me tell you what I think. Maybe a year and a half ago, there was a gentleman that was bad-mouthing and smearing Dave Warden all over the place. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
All right. And there were all of these allegations against Dave Warden. He's not in jail, is he?
No.
You know, that speaks volumes, okay, to the allegations that have been made against him. and I've backed him since the day I met him on the phone. And I'm going to back him until something would have to occur that was so outrageous that I would not do it anymore. Now,
I brought you up on my television. Actually, I have sound now. So.
okay,
Excellent, thank
so
you.
do me a favor. Are you on Facebook?
Yeah.
Can you go to one word, AM News Network?
AM.
Correct. For American News Network, AM News Network, all one word.
Well, you're making him work when he calls, huh? How's it in Kentucky today?
Overcast, about to rain.
Kentucky sounds beautiful, doesn't it? Bluegrass? It doesn't actually have bluegrass, though, right?
Well, that's because it's a reflection of the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Oh, okay.
We actually have a blue tint to our grass when the morning dew's on it in the spring. That's where the bluegrass comes from.
Mhm.
Wow.
That's
So-
the seeds that they make for Kentucky bluegrass.
So if you could find AM News Network on Facebook,
I got you.
are we on?
Uh,
You may have to scroll down to see it. Huh?
yeah, you're on.
Okay. If you could
You know, if you do this
Send-
anymore, we're going to have to make him a producer. Ed.
send a friend request, and then I'm going to tell you that there is the American News Media Center on YouTube that we're on today. News Now San Diego. Oh, wait a minute, we may not be on American News Center today. We're on News Now Houston and News Now San Diego. So
We're gonna have to get a chart.
Just keep watching. And we may have a graphic that comes up in the beginning of our shows that'll tell you where you can find us on the internet. But I think that to be in more than 3 places is going to be too much.
Mm-hmm.
At least live, it puts too much strain on the bandwidth.
So, yeah, thank you again. Thank you so much. Don't ever be afraid, anyone, or hesitate, I should say, to call in and point something out to us, because we wanna fix it.
Well, I didn't even know about you guys till about, I don't know, when all that crap happened with Dave right here down there when they arrested him and all
Yeah.
that over that bull crap. Then you started doing that every Sunday thing. I started watching you guys. And,
Yeah.
Not that something happened for a little while and didn't see you, and then I've seen you back on today, so that's why.
Well, we're going to be back. I don't like crowd and Dave's style, but like I said, I had a heart transplant, and that kind of took the wind out of my sails for a couple of months, anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'd say that would do it to anybody. Yeah, I've
Well-
contacted Dave a few times through email. He's answering occasionally. He's a busy guy, I understand.
yeah,
I've watched and trying to take by example the way he does it, because there's so many different guys out here that do it crazy, that go into post offices and do all this aggressiveness toward law enforcement. Those are baiters. I don't think those are true auditors myself, but they may not like me for saying that, but I really don't care.
No, I understand. Everybody has their own way, and you know, Ed.
Right.
I've been out with him in certain situations, and his way is he doesn't raise any issue until he's confronted, and then you raise issues.
right.
Right, and you know, you don't even start to ask questions basically or do it until something is shown to you.
That's correct.
In other words, we try to give the benefit of the doubt a lot of times. But I think you need all kinds of people doing all kinds of things. So there's a place for everybody on the spectrum.
What's your first name again?
My name's Stacy.
Stacy. I'll just tell you that my last name is Peruta, and my son is carrying on the tradition. 2 weeks ago today in Indian River County, Florida, he was arrested by the Indian River County Sheriff's Department shooting a scene where a body was found in a canal and grieving family members were around. And he never crossed the yellow tape. He stood exactly where everybody was told to stand, but the minute you raise a camera or a cell phone to take video, you're a target. And my son was a target, He was told to move. My son began, he's heard it a million times from me. I'm not in a crime scene. A crime scene is defined by an evidence field or a debris field. In other words, an auto accident, the debris goes flying to the car. And they can judge miles per hour by how far the debris travels. So you don't want to be in a debris field, and you don't want to be in an evidence field, and you don't want to be standing in the middle of a highway when cars are going by. But if you're minding your own fucking business and you're taking pictures with a cell phone, government needs to leave us alone.
Yep.
And until that happens,
Taking pictures with anything.
until that happens, we're going to have people going out and testing or auditing whether or not they're doing the right thing when they see a camera. That's the audit.
Yep.
And I have,
Did you get out right away, or?
and I support.
Yeah, what happened to his case, Ed? You never told me. Your son.
Hasn't gone to court yet.
Does it?
No.
Does he have a court date? He actually has to go to
I
court.
don't know if he has a court date yet.
I mean, I know here in Connecticut the courts aren't really open.
Well, I don't know if they're open down in Florida, but I'm just saying he hasn't told me that he has a court date yet.
Mhm.
I'm sure that they're going to let him know. You know, he's not going to walk around with this forever. But it's I mean, at some point in time, cameras are going to win, because I look at a camera, and I've said this for 30 years now. 10 Scotty dogs can beat the Great Dane. In other words, 10 little cell phone cameras can beat the biggest news camera in the country. Because we're there first. Go ahead.
They're not powered by big conglomerate corporations like CBS, NBC, Fox, ABC.
Absolutely,
Let
all
me-
of them.
Stacey, let me tell you how this happens. TV stations don't really like people with cell phones when they're at the scene. They think you're immaterial. But trust me, when you've got footage of something blowing up, actually blowing up, or a plane actually crashing, they will beg you for your video. They'll beg you.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll often try to get it away from you by saying, we'll give you a credit on TV that you shot it. No, give me money. Give me money. And I'll tell you, are you aware of a organization called Stringer?
No.
All right. Go to this STRINGR.com and enroll in Stringer. And what happens is, it's a national.
But let me interject. There are a lot of different apps like that out there
Right,
now too.
right.
There may be better ones.
They're right. But what I'm saying is, if there are incidents in your area, and they see your phone all the time, okay? If there's an incident in your area, they will put out a broadcast saying, we would like footage of a fatal accident at this intersection. Please acknowledge whether you can respond and shoot it. A fire, an accident, a drowning. Sometimes they do church closings, school openings. But Stringer does pay the next day, depending on what they consider the, what they're going to do with it. So, yep.
Okay, I got it up there. I don't see
STRINGR.com.
No, STRINGR. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
But you know what? It may have been replaced by something else now. But
There could be something else.
But basically, they buy footage from just freelancers, and there are news stations that subscribe to them. And if a news station doesn't feel like sending out its own reporter or photographer, they send it to Stringer or like organization, and you go out, do it, you upload it, and you get paid. You get paid some.
You don't get paid a lot, but you know, usually they pay to a PayPal account the next day, next business day.
Yep.
They download it, they use it, whatever. You get paid the next day by PayPal. So other than that, Stacy.
I found a thing here that says Stringer, a freelance journalist, anything about website.
Yeah, I don't know. It could just be an app on a phone.
What's that?
An app, an application on a phone.
You sign up.
You sign up, right?
Yeah.
Uh-oh,
Oh,
look.
we got Dave calling.
Bye, Stacy. Thanks so much
Stacy,
for
gotta
calling.
go.
Keep watching.
All right.
Awesome, thank you, Jeff.
All right.
Hey.
Bye-bye.
We were just talking about. We were just.
Stringer, Dave, and Morgan.
Yeah.
To
Take.
accept.
Well, you
Yeah.
have something new on there, huh?
Two.
Is that to block calls? You
No,
got
no,
that
no.
new
This
thing?
is it's Gmail, Google Voice or whatever. Mr. Warden, we've been
I got
talking
it.
about you.
I got it.
I'm listening. I'm in the chat.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have enough people to be in chat when we're talking because we're live.
Well, I've got moderators that are in there that take care of any trolls that pop up or people being stupid.
Excellent.
But there's a lot of good commentary in there, and a lot of people don't understand who Ed Peruta is. And that's why I was calling in, so that people would actually hear me talking and they could hear, Ed Peruta in the citizen journalist community is infamous.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I would. He's very well known. He's even more well known, even more so than Carlos Miller. Ed is won a lot of lawsuits and actions that promote and enable us to do what we do. And you should just Google his name, and you'll find out everything you want to know about Ed Peruta.
The good and the bad. The good and the bad.
I don't know if you can see this, Dave. Hi, Dave. This is Rachel.
Zoom in. Get up and zoom in.
This is Rachel. But this is one of my favorite pictures of Ed. And Ed, when is this back from? The 1980s?
That's May of 1990.
May of 1990.
What's that? 30 years ago.
Yeah, and it's a
News photographer.
News
magazine.
Photographer magazine. It says TV freelancer Ed Peruta fights state cops and wins. I love it.
That's when I had hair.
Yeah, look at him. definitely 30 years ago, right?
I'm looking at it. I can see it. I can see it right now.
Giant size camera.
Yeah, no, okay, Dave. Here you got to laugh at this. Back in the day of VHS and Beta, I had to shoot on VHS, SVHS. Then I had to drive it to the various TV stations, go into master control. They would put it into a VCR, and they would what they call bump it to Beta, so that they could play it on their equipment. So I would have to run to channel 3, channel 8, channel 30, channel 61, and do a round robin of about 150 miles. Okay? And I used to get paid $50 a tip and $50 a tape. And here's the way it worked. If I called the news desk and told them of a major incident that they were unaware of when I called, and they responded to it and got the thing, they had to pay me $50 for telling them about it. Pretty good, huh?
That was good money back in the 80s.
Well, look, hold on. My cell bill every month averaged $1,800.
Nobody had them then, did they?
Nope, not a lot of people.
Yeah.
But back then, you paid 30 cents a minute for talking on the phone. Or any point. If you talked for 1 minute, 61 seconds, you paid 2 minutes. 1 second into the next minute. Now, there was a homicide in Hartford, Connecticut. I was driving in my truck. I was driving to Martha's Vineyard for the weekend. And Diane Gellenbach, a bank employee, got kidnapped in a parking garage.
Yeah.
I called my stations. They didn't know about it. I got paid $200, $250. Then I got a telephone call that they had the suspect cornered on a certain street in Hartford. I made my phone calls, and all the media started moving to that location, and I got $200, $250 for that call. Then I was on the ferry, and I got a call. They got him in Keeney Park in Hartford. They got him cornered. So I called the media, and I told them that, and I got another $250. So I made $750 riding in my car to Martha's Vineyard.
Do you remember that guy's name? He was on death row until they abolished it in Connecticut.
No,
but now I can't remember. He was a bad guy.
Webb.
Yeah. He's
Webb.
still in jail. I want to
Webb.
ask Dave some questions. Can I butt
Okay.
in?
No, you can butt in, but listen.
Okay.
Dave, I know that you are News Now Houston because you called me and I suggested you follow JC News Now Houston.
Correct.
I know that you do not need my media credentials to say who you are, but I know that I gave them to you.
And I use them.
I'm glad you do. I mean, nobody's calling me about you. Huh. You know, I get calls about my son, I get calls about JC, but with you, never. I
Yeah,
want,
that's because down here I'm like you. I'm infamous.
well, when they're standing around a command center or a crime scene or what's going on, and they see me get out of the car, they go, oh shit, he's here. Hurry up and get the tape up.
Hey Dave, can I ask you, have you ever been sued because of your video
Content.
content?
Yes.
You have. How many times?
I'm currently being sued by the number 2 guy for the police union in Oklahoma City. He's upset. One of our guys, who's now Patrick, caught him allegedly sleeping in his patrol car, and he doesn't like that video being up, and so he says that that's slanderous, and he's suing me in the state of Oklahoma.
So it wasn't you that it was somebody on behalf of News Now. Oh, it's a video that you have up that somebody else shot on News Now Houston.
Correct.
And he wants you to take it down, and you haven't taken it down, right?
I'm not going to take it down.
Now,
You bet your ass you're not going to.
now what court's he suing you in? Oklahoma, Texas, federal court?
No, he actually screwed up and filed in Oklahoma State Court.
Right.
But I went ahead, rather than challenge the jurisdiction and all of that, I just went ahead and hired a lawyer in Oklahoma to handle it. And, it's a First Amendment issue. It's 100% a First Amendment issue. The guy appears to have been sleeping when the guy walked up to his patrol car. His head is back, his mouth is open, and his eyes are closed.
And is he suing you individually, or is the union kind of backing him?
The union, he's using the union's lawyer. He's the number 2 guy for the police union in the state of Oklahoma. So the law firm that normally represents the police union, of course, is representing him, and they are the ones suing me. I'll send you.
Now I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna give you a phrase if you don't know it already. Quid pro quo.
Mm-hmm.
In other words,
I have a feeling
we
Dave knows
hire
that.
you for the union. You got to represent me personally in a lawsuit against somebody that lives in Texas.
Yep, because
Okay.
usually unions will not be proactive and sue somebody else. They'll defend the officers, but they won't go after.
But they're doing it as private attorneys, but they happen to work in the firm that represents the union.
Now, what about the other police officers that are part of that union and don't appreciate, people sleeping on the job sometimes?
Blue line.
They can't be happy that their union
But there's a
dues are
blue
going
line.
yeah.
There's a blue line.
There is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's the Blue Line Gang, and they are, you can't, a good cop can't speak up because the bad cops will literally run him out of the department.
Yep.
The bad cops have taken over, literally.
Right.
I am just dumbfounded by what I have come to realize over the last couple of years, but bad cops have taken over, and you pretty much just go along to get along, or you get run off, and that's how it is.
Dave, this is a message to all of the officers in the city of Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City, right?
Was it Oklahoma City proper?
Yeah, Oklahoma City.
Okay. This is a message to all of the officers in the Oklahoma City Police Department. I'm 71 and a half years old. I was a 21, 22, and 23-year-old rookie police officer back in the early 1970s. And Dave, I want you to ask me if I ever slept in a cruiser.
Did you ever sleep in a cruiser?
Absolutely. But here's what I did. Because you can end up working 24 hours straight in a cruiser back then. 16 hour, 18 hours, 24 hours. You can overtime in the summertime will kill you. I used to call up my sergeant, who was John O'Leary or Frank Raganese. I'd call up the sergeant, and I'd call him to a parking lot in a very visible area, And you know how you park like you're having coffee with each other? And I'd sit there and say, Sarge, look, you got to do me a favor. I can't keep my eyes open, and I don't want to go find some place to hide in my cruiser and sleep. Could you just sit next to me here for 20 minutes and just let me close my eyes for a little while? And he said, okay. So you see, I know that police officers, quote unquote, pigeonhole. In other words, they have their pigeonholes. That's where they fly in there at night. I knew a guy that he would go on the radio, go to his pigeonhole, wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, work for half an hour, and then go home and work another job. I had other guys that would pull up to a payphone. You know those payphones that used to be car size?
Yeah.
He used to pull up to the payphone, sit next to the payphone, and he was selling real estate on the phone all day, all during his shift. These are the things that I took out of law enforcement, that I knew about, that I currently know about, and I gotta tell you, some of the officers that I became friends with became sergeants and lieutenants and captains and deputies and chiefs. I've got a chief right now that I consider to be one of my best friends. If I have a question about law enforcement, policy, procedure, or whatever, I call this person up and he answers the phone, he answers his cell phone when he's on his motorcycle, and we talk. And it's because of him that a lot of doors get open to me, because he'll call another department, talk to the chief and say, Ed Peruta would like to talk to you, I'd like to vouch for him, would you let him in to talk to you, chief?
Dave, do you ever get calls from, given what you do you ever get calls and that are requested they be kept anonymous, obviously, from other police officers kind of giving you tips about what other police officers do? Because there is a thin blue line, but on the other hand, there is a lot of backbiting that goes on.
There's a lot of honest
among
police
officers
officers that don't like what they see or what they're working with, and they would make the phone call anonymously to somebody on the outside to tip them off about what's going on the inside.
Does that happen ever?
Yes, and there are people I have contacts with in many departments and in federal law enforcement.
Right.
As a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, I got a copy of the secured and classified current DHS memo on photographers, and I published it. That came from an inside source that forwarded it on to me. So yes, I get stuff like that on a fairly regular basis. It's gotten to be so bad with the bad cops. They now have warrants to go into my Gmail and my YouTube channel for commenters and stuff like that. Almost, they keep these warrants up almost constantly.
Well,
as a result of the current case that I have, we've been able to get to look into that and see just how deep the surveillance has been. So I've had to change my email over to a secured email address and do stuff like that to protect the identities of people that contact me like that.
Are you talking about the arrest from a couple years ago? That case is still going
Or the
on?
Oklahoma City one?
No, 18 months ago, the arrest from 18
Right.
months ago. Yes, it's still going.
Oh.
They are dragging it off as long as they possibly can. They refuse to give us discovery stuff.
That's what they do.
Emails that we were trying to get, just material related to the case. The city of Deer Park went out and hired a private law firm to fight having to release the information to us that we're entitled to as part of discovery.
Yep, that's what they do. They try to wear you
They'll
down.
try to
Dave.
bleed you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all about dragging. They know they have no case. It's all about dragging this out as long as they possibly can. I had a court date for May the 5th. They changed that 2 months. They reset it for 2 months. The DA did. So it's now set off to June the 30th. And it's all about just keeping me where I can't hardly do anything.
Right. And if the courts are not fully open, there's no pressure on anybody to comply with any discovery rules, so it just sits there.
Well, but this is been going on for a year and a half now. This
Right.
isn't something that just came up.
I know, I
We have been
understand.
fighting them. Yeah, fighting them every step of the way. You know, when I first got arrested, you know, to be in compliance with the Morton Act, which is something you may not be familiar with, but here in Texas, it's just basically the district attorney has to give you all this stuff. They gave us, you know, a folder, and they said, okay, here's the stuff you get that we're going to give you to defend your client. Well, that's not how discovery works.
No.
You know, you get, you know, because DAs hide evidence. Here in Texas and Harris County especially, you know, there has always been a problem with that. And so my attorney, I've got a very good attorney, his name is John Landers, immediately went to requesting this, and they have fought us every step of the way.
Right.
Well,
You know, Ed, Dave, we had a case together in New London, Ed and I, and it went all the way up. A gentleman had like 50 guns, and they wanted those guns bad. Went all the way up to the trial date. We were going to take it to trial, and I found out the day before in the judge's chamber with the prosecutor there that the police officer witness
would not be testifying.
would not be testifying because he had to resign under investigation because he'd been writing fake tickets and he had taken photographs of a woman in his car with a
with
you
his
know,
uniform
with
hat
his
on.
uniform hat on or whatever. But they did not tell us that until after that case had been pending like a year. And they wanted us to take a program, you know, like a diversionary program where you don't really admit that you did it, but then again, you're not taking it to trial, so people kind of think you're admitting you did it. And they didn't give us that information. We didn't have
And
it
there's-
right up until the time of
And
trial.
there's a Supreme Court case, Brady,
Mhm.
okay, that basically says when you have a police officer who's done something wrong, you have to Brady him. You have to put his name on the list.
Right.
And I know that
Brady
in
list, right?
Yep.
the Brady list, and Connecticut does not have a Brady list.
Nope. I've asked, and they've straight out told me we don't keep a Brady list in Connecticut. So, but getting back to the discovery and your attorney, you know, here in Connecticut, in our practice book, there is a rule that as the attorney, when you get the documents, you are not allowed to share them with your client. And the whole reason for that supposedly is you're going to learn thing about witnesses and you're going to go out and do something violent to them. But how can an attorney represent a client who doesn't have the opportunity to look over all the paperwork and tell the attorney what's wrong, this didn't happen, this happened? It's impossible.
Well, here in Texas, like I said, this is the Michael Morton Act. And basically, the DA gives you this stuff, but you can't, they could show it to the client and discuss it with the client, but the client cannot copy it or publish it. You know,
Yep.
so the only way I can publish it is to publish it from memory.
Right.
You know, I can talk about it, I can make notes about it, you know, and I can publish that, but I can't publish actual documents. So,
Yeah.
but if we get it via subpoena, like we got the Homeland Security Fusion Center report, that's not Homeland Security, but the local Fusion Center report, we got that via subpoena. So I can't publish that because in order to get that, my attorney had to sign a confidentiality agreement.
Right.
We also got a list. Get this, you're gonna love this. I got the list of current and past federal counterintelligence operations that have been run against me, and that includes a list of government, whether they're state or federal, confidential informants that are working within this movement. And when I got that, I said I was going to publish it, and they immediately contacted my lawyer and told him if I published that, they were going to prosecute him
Right.
for violating the confidentiality agreement.
So what you're saying is what you're saying is that in the Fusion Center, and that's the law enforcement vault of all of the intelligence information,
Mm-hmm.
you were able to obtain a list of people who claim to be auditors who are working for the government to get in close to you.
Correct.
I'm not one of them.
Well, that's the first sign that you are one.
I probably got my own Fusion.
Predominantly, the people on that list predominantly are out of California.
I believe it.
And
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, Ed, that guy from California that kept calling you,
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking of when you said that. Yeah.
He not only is he on that list, but I have the audio recordings from the city of Deer Park of him talking to the city of Deer Park, and he is my attorney, my civil attorney, husband, and personal assistant.
Yeah, I remember hearing that and saying there were so many things wrong with that situation. And he used to watch our show and call in and say very negative things and put negative things up, on our site. I remember.
Of course he did.
Yep.
Wanted to be my friend.
She's facing being disbarred right now. The California bar it's turned into an extensive investigation. It went from just a bar complaint to an actual. I'm going to say that they're going to probably turn it into a criminal investigation and hand it over to the LA District Attorney's Office, is what I'm hearing from the bar investigator.
Are you the one that made the complaint against her?
I made one of the complaints against her. There are more than a dozen.
I want to turn to something a little bit lighter, Dave, because we were just talking to Stacy from Kentucky, and he says.
I've talked to Stacy before via email.
Yeah, that's what he said, and it sounds like, I don't know if he's just getting started, but he's going to get started posting things at least, and it made me wonder, how does one get started doing this? Especially if you're kind of a shy person, like, to me, driving up somewhere, getting out of the car, putting up a camera, and it seems to me that for a lot of people it might be uncomfortable. Maybe they shouldn't be doing it if they're uncomfortable. But with a lot of things, maybe you want to do it and you're uncomfortable, and you want to learn how to get over that. Does any of that make sense to you? Do some people feel that way when they start out?
Have you ever traveled to Washington D.C.?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Did you take pictures while you were there? You were a tourist? You taking pictures?
Well, we were stopped in the same intersection 3 times by officers for tickets who were staking it out and giving out tickets to everybody, and I did get out and videotape that. So anyway, yeah, that brought back memories. But yeah, we've taken pictures.
Well, it's just like being a tourist. Now different people like to see and take pictures of different things. I've got a thing about unusual signs, and any place I can find an unusual sign, want pictures of it. I've always taken pictures of unusual signs. It's not anything new. And for the most part, I've been able to do that and never have a problem. It's only been in the last 4 or 5 years that it has been an issue, and it shouldn't be. So if you're a tourist and you're out traveling, you're already taking pictures of stuff. The only thing with what I do is you need to know, the laws that govern when you have to ID. You need to know, what's trespass and what's not trespass and where the property lines are.
Right.
Other than that, there's nothing special.
I'll tell Dave this one. We have a young lady that works at Master Control, and we were near the studio, or we were in a car, and whipping past me was what I knew was the fire chief. It was during the day. I saw the fire chief in his truck whipping by me, and I did a U-turn and I said, come on, something's going on. And I go to my phone, because I have the scanner app on my phone, and I start listening. And we follow this guy for about 1.5 miles up a hill, take a left. There it is. A car has gone through an intersection, over an embankment, flipped on its side, and is pinned down in that section in like a ground window, and the lady's trapped in the car. So I get out of the car, and my associate gets out of the car, and I said, grab the camera. She said, oh, Ed, I don't want to go over there. I don't want to go. I said, follow me. So she followed me.
I'm the same way.
She followed me. I got her arm. I walked her across the street. And then I walked across another street. And I said, now you stand right here and you start capturing. We were doing it with a cell phone. But capture the video of what's going on. Now move over here and capture it from here. And there were firemen moving around. And fortunately, the chief knows who I am. Okay? And he knew that she was with me. But she at least got her feet wet, knowing how to approach. Because 90% of approaching the scene is with the attitude, I belong here,
Right.
I'm the media and I belong here, and I know my job better than the people around me, and if I do something wrong, I'll take the blame for it, and I'll own up to it. But if I'm not doing anything wrong, get out of my face. Don't touch me. Get out of my face. So I don't
Yeah,
expect.
we actually had a guy. We actually had a guy here in Houston that was filming a medical emergency. The police had basically gotten a scuffle with a homeless guy
Mhm.
Yeah.
and put him on the ground, and he was injured in the course of the event.
Yeah.
They called out the fire department to treat him. And one of the firemen came over, told the guy to quit videoing. The guy says, "No, sir, I'm videoing. Please leave me alone." The fireman took the camera from the guy.
That happened to him.
That happened to me by a sergeant in New Britain PD. And next thing you know, the entire police department had a seminar where Rachel went in and explained the First and Second Amendment to him. Every police officer in the New Britain, Connecticut Police Department was required to attend a weekend seminar or a weekday
No,
seminar.
a weekday seminar.
Weekday seminar where Rachel was the person making the presentation. The chief invited her to come in.
Yeah, well, I
And
think you had a
explain-
conversation with
Well, I
him.
did have a conversation with him. But he knew who I knew. He knew that I wasn't bullshitting. And all you got to do is make a couple phone calls and said, he's not a guy to play with.
You know what, Dave? That is the first video. Well, maybe we have some others, but Ed wants to transition over to American News Media Center YouTube site. We're going to put that video up of that New Britain police officer taking Ed's camera that day.
So, Dave, I need to ask you a favor. How many subscribers have you got now?
On this channel, there are about 186, and then my son has a channel, and there's 58 or 59 over there.
Okay, here's what I would appreciate. I would like you to occasionally ask your viewers to go over to YouTube, American News Media Center, and subscribe. Because I'm going to need at least 1,000 to get into monetization. And I would like to have as many subscribers as possible. I'm still going to occasionally come onto your channel if the invitation's still there.
Sure.
But I would like some of your subscribers and JC's subscribers, News Now San Diego, to come over to what I'm going to say is going to be a new endeavor on my part, and it's the American News Media Center. And I want to talk about, I mean, if Joe Biden can fucking do it out of his basement, why can't we do it out of ours? Except we don't have a teleprompter, and we go off the cuff.
We do have a teleprompter. We just don't
We do.
use
We
it.
have the teleprompter.
Yeah.
I actually have a teleprompter.
We have
just-
everything.
We just don't.
Because
we
he
just
likes to
don't-
buy everything.
Because we don't. Yeah. We just. Yeah. And so listen. I'm running out of time. I got about a minute left. But I want to again thank you for everything you do, for
Absolutely.
everything you've done,
And all the
and
people
for
you
everything
inspire.
that you will do in the future.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that you'll be doing it long after I'm gone. So I appreciate everybody that does their auditing. I'm surprised we haven't heard from Joe Cool in Chicago.
Yeah, well, we've been off a
He's
while.
busy though.
We got to let him know.
So listen, I'll talk to you, brother.
Take care, Dave. Bye.
Okay, bye.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye.
With that, we're
Yes,
going to end
Mr.
the show.
Lynch.
Did you do a show?
We're just wrapping up right now.
Just in time.
Gotta go, buddy.
Oh, all right, bye.
Bye.
Too late. He can get us next week. Everybody have a good week. This is Rachel Beard and Ed Peruta,
See you
American
next
News Media Center. Bye.